Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got another update on my lead up to the North American Championships. We're sitting about just under 3 weeks out at this point and had another very solid week of training. Kind of starting off with day one, as always, we've got the safety bar squat, kind of inching up the weight to 555 pounds. I am starting to feel some differences in leverages just with losing some weight. By the end of the week, I was 124.6 kilos, which is the lightest I've been 3 weeks out in a long time. So definitely pleased that strength is holding up, but I can tell the fatigue is creeping up on me because of kind of some lack of calories here and there. But otherwise, those move pretty well. Same thing here with the snatch grip RDLs, starting to get heavier again, and I definitely feel a toll on my hamstrings by the end of the week, kind of from these and the other RDLs that I do in the week. As far as difficulty goes though, these themselves weren't, crazy difficult by any means. So pretty happy with how day one went, leading into the rest of the week here. Day two was a solid day as well. Bench press stuff. I only inched the weight up 5 pounds because, like I said, starting to feel a little bit of fatigue, and I didn't want to push the envelope. I think that was the smart choice. I maybe could have gone a little bit heavier, but I may have paid the price later in the week anyway. So hitting 410 for 5 sets of 4 is a solid milestone here, and I'm very happy with where bench is. And then I did the same thing with incline bench up to 295. Last week 290 got really difficult by the end of these sets, but with this week 295 was not extremely difficult by the end of the set. So some evidence there that I am getting stronger at least. And I'm really starting to trust my shoulders and my bicep from last year's injury completely, which is very good. 3 weeks out, that's exactly where we want to be. Now, day 3 is kind of my difficult day, and it's where motivation is the lowest. I'm feeling the most beat up, so these RDLs certainly beat up my hamstrings by the end, and it makes me question how deadlifts are going to go at the end of the week for sure. It ended up being fine, but I just know these got pretty hard, and I would call these an RP 8 to 9 at times. Even though they don't look super hard, I can just tell they're taking a toll and pretty difficult. So happy with getting them done, but they certainly beat me up, and hopefully that pays off whenever we drop those down a little bit leading into the actual competition. And then we have the technique bench press where it's 5 tempo down and then 0 tempo with the touch and back up. Overall, pretty happy with the speed and the tempo of these. I'm getting pretty used to that kind of harder touch sink at the bottom of the bench press, and I think that'll pay off hopefully in competition with the pause, but not a whole lot to say there. And then same thing with the hip sled. Here we inched up the weight. Last week I kept it the same at 365. This week I went ahead and moved up to 405. Still pretty easy, hitting volume sets of 10, but I can tell it gets the blood going to my quads and my hips a little bit. With a day between this day and my heavy day on Saturday, it definitely allows me to taper off some of that fatigue, but it certainly does carry over into the heavy day, which we're about to see here. And this is where things are starting to get pretty fun. Squat, I had a top single at 715 pounds and then 2 back down triples at 635. So looking at this single, it's to be expected as I'm losing weight on a deficit that my leverages are going to change, and I certainly can feel those differences. So this single was a little bit slower than I would have liked, but looking back to a couple weeks ago when I was hitting 715 for doubles, this moved comparably to the first rep. So even though it felt a little bit awkward, I think it still moved well. And add in the fatigue from Thursday with those RDLs, it's definitely promising. And sitting at this lower body weight, the weight cut's not going to be all that difficult leading into the competition. So all of those are variables I just need to take into account. And overall, I'm pretty happy, especially with these back down triples. I can't think of a time where 635 was moving any better. This is really fast. I would call these RPE 7 sets. I could have done at least 6 reps, I think, with 635 here. Momentum continued with the bench, so I had another top single here. It was supposed to be an RPE 9. Coming in, my pecs were pretty sore from earlier in the week, so I was a little bit tentative. And as you'll see here, this moves definitely faster than a 9. But, I called it there just to be consistent, and definitely very happy with hitting that weight 3 weeks out here. Then I had back down sets. This was 3 sets of 2 at 445 pounds. I was originally prescribed to back down 11 pounds or 5 kilos from my top set. I did back down a little bit more, closer to like 9 kilos or 20 pounds, just to emphasize the pause, and because, like I said, my shoulders and pecs were getting a little bit fatigued and sore and maybe nervous to potentially strain something. So I wanted to play it a little bit safe there. But overall, I'm happy with the pauses on 445, and it moved pretty well. Then closing out, I had a top single on deadlift, which I am going to hold off on posting here. You all will get to see that in my recap video after North Americans. I'm going to do a lead up where it kind of has my commentary in the weeks leading up along with my water cut. So I'm going to go ahead and just share my back downs. I had triples at 665. Those moved pretty well. At this point, I had been in the gym over 4 hours though, and I was pretty exhausted. So still happy with how these moved with so much volume behind me. All right, so that does it. Another solid week down. We're getting close in the home stretch. Thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe. And until next time, happy lifting.